All right, get started. Perfect. All right, well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me tonight. My name is Brandy Ferrara, and I'm the director of the Salisbury Center for Career Professional and Experiential Education. And tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about networking and how to leverage the HWS network. We've got a broad range of audience members tonight in class years, and we've got some family members, parents of current students. And so I'm going to start with some basics, if you'll bear with me, and then at the end really talk about using LinkedIn and a new platform that we're getting ready to launch, People Grove, to connect with one another as you are looking to network, whether it's for a job search, internships, just learning, working to grow your network in your industry. But I promise there'll be some great takeaways for you. So the importance of networking and why we really focus on this with students and alums is a lot of job opportunities aren't even posted. The ones that you're seeing out there, they're collecting resumes for in large numbers typically. When you're networking, you're learning about opportunities before they even get posted. And I typically like to talk about myself as an example of that I was networking here at Hobart and William Smith colleges when I was a grad student and talking with the director, and she was actually just working on a job description, and it was a great fit for my skill set, and I was able to be the first one to apply, get an interview, and obviously the opportunity to work for the colleges before it was even posted publicly. So it was a great opportunity. And that's really what networking can help students and alums do, is get your foot in the door and give you an advantage when you feel like maybe you're just applying to a black hole. Networking isn't just about who you know, though. It's not about just collecting business cards or working a room. It's really about relationships and building and maintaining those relationships over time. When you're networking, you don't want it to just be merely transactional where it's one and done. I've had that conversation and now I'm going to move on and forget this down the road that we ever even talked. It's really about managing those connections, keeping in touch with people. LinkedIn provides a great place and space to be able to do that, and so will our new online community. And then staying in touch, checking in every once in a while so that when you need that person again down the road, or maybe they're going to need something from you, that relationship has been flourishing over time. We really focus on quality contacts, not just collecting how many friends you can have on or followers like on Instagram, or collecting people on Facebook. When you're really serious about networking, you want some really solid people that are going to be able to share information with you, help you get into the front of the right people if they're not the person hiring or the person that maybe you're trying to get a new account. And it starts long before you're looking for the job. So this isn't something that you want to seem like you're just reaching out because you need something today. These are things that, like with our current students, we're working with them on building their network up throughout the summer and fall so that in the spring when they're ready to apply for internships, they've already developed those relationships. Some current networking resources that HWS students and alums have certainly access to. One is our current career network. The current version of it exists on the computers in the Career Center. So current students can come in anytime. They don't need an appointment to utilize that. And alums can reach out to us via email at cso@hws.edu and let us know what alums they're looking for, what industry or particular profession, job title, and geographic location if they're specific to a particular area. And so that's something where we have lots of people in there, obviously, that have, like I said, they've all volunteered, they've raised their hand to talk with people about getting jobs. Maybe they actually do the hiring and they've all noted that in their records. In addition, we talk to students and alums about reaching out to other alums, right? It could be even of your high school or your prep school. And again, I laugh because I'm I'm not a shy person. And so networking is something that I'm very comfortable doing, and found some friends from elementary school even on Facebook and looked at the jobs they were doing. And one happened to be in doing environmental work in Boston. So I reached out for him knowing that that's a huge area of interest for our current students, and reconnected with Jeff to develop a relationship to get some internships where we successfully place some students. And so you never know where those networking opportunities are. It could be at the gas station. There was a DEC cop once upon a time pumping gas when I was getting gas. And so I went right up to him and introduced myself and got his business card. And he's in this region. And he said he takes interns at CUCA and would be happy to work with us. And so these networking opportunities can present themselves in the most random of ways. And I think part of it is really being ready to put yourself out there and to talk about yourself. Part of being able to talk about yourself is knowing your brand. So for me, right now, my brand is career counselor, right? That's part of what I am and what I do. And so really being able to talk about your experiences and what you're looking for, what those interests are. Obviously, these brands right here are very well known in the marketplace. They spend a lot of money to make sure that you recognize those brands. And so you want to portray yourself as a brand. Oprah Winfrey, she has developed her own personal brand and turned it into a mega million-dollar operation. Everyone knows the work that she does. Once upon a time, Arnold Schwarzenegger was more of this tough guy image, and he actually redeveloped himself, reinvented his brand to be more of this polished environmentalist politician. And so these are all part of the image that we are portraying and what we want people to know or see about us. We're the CEO, I like this quote, that we're the CEO of our own companies, Me Inc. And to be in business today, you have to be the head marketer for your own brand, for you. And I think that's really important as you're thinking about what you're putting out on social media as well.
Brandy?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't think the slides are switching as you're talking.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Mine are all switching along. I apologize for that.
That's okay.
There we go. All right, here we go. So part of, as I said, the 30-second pitch is, of having that pitch ready, that elevator pitch for when you do meet somebody. So even if you're walking up to them, pumping their gas at the gas station, is being able to talk about who you are, what your major accomplishments are and your passions, what are you interested in, and where are you going, right? And making that creative, memorable, and succinct. And this is something that we practice with our students. And if you go to our website, we actually have in the networking section some questions and a worksheet to create a 30-second pitch. The other is thinking about your brand online. So as I was talking about earlier, your social media, what are you putting out there? If we Googled you, what would we see? And so when you are networking for a particular job or in an industry, you want to make sure that we're seeing that sort of image that you're trying to project. So if you are in sales already and you want to grow your sales base for the company that you're working for, you want to make sure that you're posting articles that are relevant to your industry. Maybe you're in the tech field and there's some new technology, new cutting edge things that you want to make sure you're putting out there. It could be your LinkedIn profile even being up to date and current. Twitter, you want to make sure you're following people that are relevant in your industry. And then the same thing with Instagram, following companies or organizations, nonprofits, foundations that are relevant to the work that you're interested in, so that if anyone looked you up, and they will, that they can find things that they say, wow, they're really into, you know, in this industry, they are clearly maybe not an expert, but certainly know what they're talking about. So when employers are looking at hiring people or even interviewing their candidates, they're going to LinkedIn first and foremost. That is the biggest area. And so we always want to have our most up-to-date information in there with our work information, our summary statement of who we are, what it could be if you're a recent grad, of what the type of industry you're looking to get into, that it's got a current photo on it. And this is one I always talk about, that we want to make sure it's a professional headshot, and not that it needs to be taken by a photographer. Our phones are a great resource, but that it's not a photo that we've cropped somebody out of, right? And we can see the person and then their arm cut out, or they're wearing sunglasses. We want it to be a nice professional photo when we are using LinkedIn. Facebook is another space. And so this is one too where this can be a personal space for people, and what we want to do when we're doing a job search or putting ourselves networking, that we want to make sure that we've got everything locked down, that we're not comfortable with everyone seeing. So if it is you at a party, you know, drinking beer or holding wine, which is fine, it might not be part of the image that you want to project to an employer. And so really making sure that your settings are to either just your friends, or if you are making them more public, that you're really careful of what you're tagged in the comments that are that you're posting, because those will come up in a Google search too. And I've seen that work against people. Sometimes it's comments that are just meant to be funny or witty, and out of context, they seem really offensive. And I've seen people, again, not want to network or help other people based on what they found in a Google search. So with Twitter, the other thing I wanted to talk about is just an appropriate username. And it could be something that has to do with the industry that you're going into. And this is same with email address and anything like that. Again, you want to represent yourself in the most professional of ways. Be careful of what you're putting out there. Again, in tweeting, I've seen things that it was a current student that we had many, many years ago, but it was something they had posted or tweeted in high school, like their sophomore year of high school, and it came up in a Google search. And because of what was posted, the alum wasn't even willing to connect with them. And so we really want to watch what we're putting out there and make sure it's really professional at all times. LinkedIn provides the best space for professional social media. And so there are over 500 million users. And I just looked that number up because I wanted to make sure this slide was up to date. And when we had originally made this presentation, it was only over 100 million. So this has really grown exponentially, and it is a platform that is recognized and utilized worldwide. And this is another great resource, and we'll get into it shortly, for even identifying alums throughout the world in a global sense, not just in the US. You can upload your resume on there. You can have recommendations from people, and this is another way of representing yourself and presenting that professional brand. And then there is on our website LinkedIn resources. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on how to create a great profile on LinkedIn, but just some general things that you can be doing is making sure that you are congratulating people, right? That's a great, easy way to stay in touch with some of your networking connections as they're getting new jobs. It could be reposting things that they're posting, or it could be articles relevant to your industry. And so you can put your skills in there. You can have people verify those for you. Also, using that LinkedIn URL and putting it right on your resume can be a great way to help direct people to you. And that can be really helpful, particularly if you have a name that might be similar to others. If it is John Smith, for example, that might be a really common name. And so if people are Googling you, you want to make sure they're finding the right John Smith. And so by putting that URL right on your resume, it makes it easy to direct them to your site. The other thing is giving back, right? So we get a lot out of social media, but we want to give back too. And so that's part of that congratulating or acknowledging if someone had a new article that they've published, talking about books that are out there in your industry, retweeting things that other people in your industry are posting, suggesting websites, or if you see something, a really good resource, putting it out there as a recommendation for others. Or maybe for HWS, they were featured in a daily update article or a Pulteney Street survey article. Forward it to them with a note. That's a nice way to give back and to recognize those relationships. So just in general, again, it's giving, receiving, following up. And I think that's the other important part when you're networking. If someone reaches out to you or follows up with you, that you are acknowledging their email and thanking them for taking the time to answer you or give you some great information in a timely fashion. You don't want days or weeks to go by before you reach back out to that contact that you had originally connected. And so now I want to talk a little bit about HWS and how we provide some great networking for you. And I always talk about the impressive nature of the HWS community and our alumni and alumni and their willingness to connect with one another and to connect with current students and give back. And so coming soon, and I'm going to give you a sneak preview, is our new online version of the Career Network, which is powered by People Grove. And you will be able to join the network and connect with alums from all different class years in all different industries. There's a place for job board where alums can post jobs for one another. So those mid-level or upper level jobs, or even those entry-level and internship positions, because students will have access to this as well. And then we'll have some affinity groups, and I'll show those all to you. And I'm really excited about this in particular because I think it'll provide unique ways for our alums to connect with one another. It could be around an industry like law, but it might also be that you were all red shirts at reunion, or you were all athletes. So we've got some groups, and I'll show you those as well. And a business directory. So if you've got a business that you want to promote with HWS, there's a way to promote it on this platform. Right now we've got the college store. So if you are missing your gear or missing some HWS gear, that you're able to go right in there and shop online. So this is what People Grove will look like. And like I said, we're calling it the HWS Career Network. I'm going to sign right in. And what I really like about this is that once you have your LinkedIn profile, it's going to pull all of this information in for you from your profile. You don't have to retype everything. And students who are on campus will just be able to log in with single sign-on. All right, so once you're logged in, this is the home page. And initially signing in, you'll be prompted to fill out some profile information, and I can show you mine. But it's basically what your interests are, what your profession, your industry is. And you can see here, it pulled in everything from my LinkedIn profile for me. I didn't type all of this in. But I could decide what I wanted to help topics. So if I wanted to talk about applying to graduate school, I check that off. If there are things you're not comfortable talking to people about or don't have an interest in connecting with people about, then you simply wouldn't select those items, and you won't show up in someone's search who was looking for help for graduate school, for example. I've selected my industry. And then for hobbies and passions, again, if there's different hobbies that people can find one another, we've got some identity groups in here that people can select. So for me, I am first gen, so I certainly identify as that and am very eager and interested in connecting with others who are first gen. And then we can put our pronouns, our gender identity, and then it'll show all of the groups that I've joined, which obviously I've joined all of them. So then we can go back to the home page. And I'm actually going to go right into networking. And right now, obviously, we haven't launched this yet, so it is only staff members in here who have been filling information in. But when you log in, you will have all these different features of how you can find alums in here. Yep, Siobhan? You can unmute.
Oh, thanks, Brandy. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. In regards to the identity groups, I'm thinking of two groups that have, that are pretty prominent on campus with alums, being ALA and then also LGBTQ+. I know both of those entities have representation on the alumni associations for the colleges. And I was just wondering, are those going to be groups that are added to the affinity spaces as well?
They are. I'll jump right over to the groups right now, and then I'll go back to the network and how to find people so that you can see all of those, but those are absolutely two. So ALA is right here. They're all in alpha order. And then we've got some industry specific. So we've got arts, business. This is where our alums abroad can find one another, or students who are studying abroad may want to connect with alums who are in the countries that they're studying in. More career fields. Our Greek life, so fraternity and sororities can find one another here. HEOP, we've got Hillel, our honor societies, our HWS admissions volunteers, athletics, and LGBTQ+. Posse, our red shirts orientation staff, because they tend to want to connect and do stay connected to one another, so giving them a place to do that. Current reunion volunteers, so these are alums that are helping to organize and reach out to alums during their actual reunion year. This will be a place where we can share information and they can talk with one another. And then we've got technology career group, veterans, and William Smith at Work.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Brandy.
Absolutely. And then I can show you, actually, I'll just click and go right at the top here. Once you join one of these groups, it's all you do is click join, and it'll show you the members, but there's a discussion board where people can have conversations, but there's also a place for resources. And this is something where the colleges can certainly upload information and share what's happening or particular resources, but alums will also be able to put resources in here for students and other alums to have access to.
Okay, great.
This platform, I think, will have a lot of opportunity to engage with one another and really leverage the community in a different type of way that we maybe haven't always been able to in the past.
Thank you, Brandy.
Absolutely. You're welcome, Siobhan. And so then when we go back to this network piece of finding alums, you can do a search, like I mentioned, in any of these. So I'm assuming for most it'll be an industry-based search, but we could do a search if we wanted to find other first gen or other international students. Parents also have a place in here, student athletes, transfer students, people with disabilities, or some other affinity or groups. And then we also have all of the clubs and organizations. So if you were a member of the Campus Herald and were a writer for it, and you just want to reconnect or see what other people who wrote for the Herald are up to, you can certainly find them through here. So there's, like I said, all kinds of ways that you'll be able to connect with one another and network. The other piece that I want to highlight tonight is the jobs page. Right now, these are internships that I've pulled in from Handshake. We've got a live RSS feed coming in from here, but this is where alums will be able to post those mid and upper level jobs. So HWS has a great history of really helping to get one another in their foot in the door with organizations. And so this gives you that place where maybe it's not on LinkedIn where it's out for everybody to see, but you're really interested in engaging HWS alums. Post it here, people can apply and have conversations right through this platform. The same thing if an organization like Siobhan, maybe your organization is hiring a summer intern. And so you'd be able to post that on here and collect resumes or direct them to an external site where they would apply. There's also just a general discussion board on here. And so we put some just general questions, but you see this on LinkedIn sometimes where people will just post a question like, and I'm thinking that recent grads will really want to use this. I've just graduated and moved to this area. What do people in this area, how do I make community? How do I find one another? And being able to use this space for those types of conversations. And then lastly, we've got all kinds of resources on here around mentorship, using the platform. We've got things for faculty and staff in here, but for alums, we've got some resources including Handshake Interview Stream, which is our online practice platform for like a higher view type of interview. And then we've got the business directory. And this is that place where maybe you've got an organization and you want to offer HWS alums a 10% discount if they use a particular code. You could put that in here. So I think it's a really neat space to help promote your organizations and services. Any questions around People Growth? All right, then I'm going to move to LinkedIn. And this is one, so when you log in, obviously you've got just your regular login screen and your feed that will show up. If you start, typically Hobart and William Smith will show up. And what I want you to do is go to the one that's Hobart and William Smith College's School US. There are some other groups around alumni, alumni, there's one for statesmen, there's one for Herons, but we want the one that is just the college's, the school page. And this one, you will have access to over 18,000 alums that are on LinkedIn. And so here we're going to just click on alumni and you'll see there's over 18,000. And then we can do a search by where they live if we have a geographic specific area that we're interested in. New York is where we've got the most alums on LinkedIn. And so we can just do then a search, maybe we're looking for an advertising job. And you could do a search by specific organizations. I find when we're just starting out trying to build our network, being more general is often helpful. And then you can certainly connect to people. And when you connect to them, you want to personalize it with a message, right? And mention that you are a Hobart or William Smith alumna or alumnus, and that you are eager to connect or reconnect to talk about their industry. Once you are connected to someone, and I'm just going to use Keegan as an example here. When I click on Keegan's information for contact info, I think this is the real value of connecting to people on LinkedIn because we can message anybody on LinkedIn. But what I find is that we're so busy, our inboxes are inundated with all kinds of email from LinkedIn that we miss those messages, and I'm just as guilty of it. And so I get messages from people, but it gets lost in between the other notifications that I'm getting from LinkedIn. And so I might miss a message coming from an alum asking for help or a student looking for some advice. But when we're connected to people, when we click contact info, we then have their personal email address or their work email address or whatever they've provided there, where then we can reach out to them and personalize that subject line that might say, Hobart Career Inquiry or William Smith Career Inquiry or career question or whatever the nature of your outreach is, so that then someone is much more apt to use that or reach out or read it and respond to you. So this one, again, we can in here really use the network to the best of its ability by making those connections on LinkedIn, but remembering to personalize it whenever possible with those messages, because it's easy to just connect and never send those personal pieces. And I was doing that for a while at first, and I actually got feedback from an alumna who reached out and she was like, why are you asking me to connect to your network? I'm used to getting messages. And I thought, what a great lesson even for me. To remember and to really personalize that when I'm forwarding or reaching out to build my network up. So in here is where, again, you can find lots of people, but then we can also look for jobs. So if you are on the job market right now, we can click on a particular opportunity, and I'm going to use Google because I know we've got alums there. And this tells me that we have 7 alums at Google. So that's great. If I'm applying for a job at Google, before I even apply for the opportunity, I'm going to reach out to these alums and get some advice from them of how I can stand out as an applicant. And so we can see all of the people working there, and I could message them, but most of them, if they're a first connection, I'm just going to send them an email and ask if I can get some time to talk with them. People Grove, I should have mentioned, also has that feature for reaching out to people, and you can actually schedule it right through the system, and it'll populate onto your Outlook calendar or whatever calendar you use. So I want to stop there and just see if there are any questions. And I've got one of my colleagues on here too, so I'm going to put Brianna on the spot here. Bree, do you want to introduce yourself to everybody and talk a little bit about the nature of what you do as it relates to helping alums network, and you obviously doing a lot of networking yourself?
Sure, thanks, Brandy. Hi, everyone. I'm Brianna Costello. I am a William Smith graduate, class of 2015, and I have been working in our career office since 2016 now. And my role in the office is I am an employer developer, so I work really closely with our alums, parents of students, friends of the colleges to develop relationships to learn what types of students they're looking for in their field, how our students can make themselves most competitive, and then hoping that they will connect with our students to then build their network. So I'm kind of like the middleman between getting those alums invested in our office and the great work that we're doing with our students, and then kind of matchmaking them with the students that are going to be the best fit to hopefully network with them and learn a little bit about what their role entails and how they can best leverage their HWS experience to work their way into that industry. Did I miss anything, Brandy?
No, that was great. Thank you. I think were some people raising their hands, Jennifer?
Yes, we have 2 people. Let's see, we have Katie Allen raised her hand and Billy raised his hand. So would you like, Katie, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, so I'm a alum of 2018, I believe. And I had a question about, I've been looking at LinkedIn recently, but a lot of times I'm just kind of like, if I'm not searching for a job yet, but I will be soon, what kind of, I want to network, but like, what do I ask people if I'm not searching for a job yet?
Yeah, I think it could be, you know, the pandemic has given us a great opportunity to connect with people and ask how things are going with them in their industry, what they're finding most challenging right now and starting that conversation maybe that way, or just saying that you're interested in learning more about the work that they do. And you don't have to say you're doing a job search or that you're thinking about it down the road, but just that you want to learn more about their field or their organization.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Billy, if you'd like to unmute yourself, you can ask your question next.
Here I am. Can you hear me?
We sure can.
I'm class of 62 and retired from Princeton University as a pre-law advisor. This may be sort of tangential. I'm perfectly willing to talk with HWS alums, but I don't want to step on any toes for pre-law advisors at Hobart. So do I have any role here?
As one of the people that do the pre-law advising, I would love to engage you and include you in that conversation. Absolutely. And we do some events specifically around that. And so maybe we could even set up a virtual conversation.
That'll be great. I'm glad to do it. Again, I don't want to step on toes, but because I'm sure you have a pre-law advisor there, but I can put my oar in the water as well.
No, yeah, absolutely. Scott Brophy in the philosophy department is the academic pre-law advisor, and I do the career side. So we would both really like to include you in the work we're doing.
Well, how do I get involved?
All right, that is a great question. I am going to, actually, Jennifer, can you put my email right in the chat for me, please? Because I don't have the chat brought up. Thank you. So if you shoot me an email, I'll reach out to you tomorrow to look at your calendar.
Where's the email? Do I see the email somewhere?
Oh, is the chat?
Oh, okay.
I'm doing it right now.
Okay.
Perfect.
My laptop wanted to do a reboot all of a sudden. That's great. There we go.
bferrara@hws.edu.
.edu. You've got it.
Thanks, Brandy. It looks a very impressive program.
Great. Well, thank you. I look forward to working with you.
Okay. Thanks. Have a great evening.
Thank you. You too.
Brandy, if I just ask one, maybe you could just talk for a second about it. Just curious, and you and I have been through this a little bit, but kind of what you're seeing right now with the impact of COVID and employers, and do you see certain industries lighting up and others still kind of on hold, on pause a little bit? Is there a trend in certain ways?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of advertising right now. Not a surprise, is really slowing down. Where we've seen an uptick of hiring is more on the tech sales field. And again, not a surprise given that so many people are now doing work remotely, virtually, relying on technology in a way that maybe we haven't as heavily before. And so those sales opportunities are really growing for people.
Awesome. Thank you.
And I would say too, especially the alums on this call, if there are things where you really want to help or think that you can be of help, please reach out to the Career Center. My email's right in the chat. You can always just email cso@hws.edu as well, and that'll find its way to me or the appropriate person in our office. So whether that's just giving advice, if you want to do mock interviews with people, and Art, I'm looking at you. We'd like to get you back to do some talking. I know you used to be, good to see you. You used to be great at presenting or talking about interviewing over a meal. Like there's a lot of professional development skills that our current students really benefit from, and maybe even alums as well. And so Zoom has given us a nice opportunity to engage alums and give you that space.
Hi, Brandy.
Hi, Kathleen.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I just have a quick question regarding maybe a potential recommendation as a recent alum. So I graduated class of 19 for everyone else on the call. And I was wondering if HWS would be willing out like a mentoring program where you can connect students with young alums and alums that have been in their particular industry for a very long time, as I think that is something that is very beneficial. So yeah, that's.
Yeah, no, that's a great suggestion and recommendation. And I'm very hopeful for this new platform will give us a space where we'll be able to make those connections more organically with people, and provide more structured programming too for that through the discussion boards. And it could almost be like a help wanted, right? Mentor wanted kind of thing, where mentees could post some information. And so I think that's really smart. One thing we've been talking about, Cataline, is doing some virtual programming for recent grads, of getting some more seasoned alums to do some talks in professional development.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Brandy, it's Siobhan again. I have a question in terms of, have there been plans from Career Services to collaborate with professors in terms of connecting their classes to the work that Career Services is doing? I think given the marketplace and students that just graduated and students that are getting ready to graduate this year, for 2021, it probably would be helpful. And I know many times, being an alum myself, students didn't necessarily always take advantage of those resources. So I'm just wondering, how can it connect to classes as well?
Mm-hmm. No, that's a great point. And I think that we talk about that too, that we have information, we certainly post to the faculty listserv and we share information, but I think we need to be more deliberate in how we're doing that. And so I know we've made some progress in connecting with like media and society and econ and political science. There's certainly more that we can be doing though. So I think you're right, in this economy and this time and place right now, that it's probably more important than ever.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Brandy,
Yeah.
in case there are any parents on this in this session with us, what can parents do? And is there a place for parents to be involved with People Grove or LinkedIn for Hobart and William Smith students?
Yep, absolutely. So People Grove absolutely has a spot for parents to register, and many of our current career network volunteers are parents. And some of our best supporters are parents of grads from many, many years ago who still stay engaged and may host a career trek site visit, or still are connected with job shadowing. So I think as a parent that we certainly want your engagement as well. But in addition, I think helping to encourage your students to take advantage of all of these things. We've got another opportunity for networking for current students, is typically our job shadow program. This winter break, it will be an informational interview program done more virtually, but those will open up, that process will open up in October, and students will tell us the industry or industries that they're interested in, or specific professions, and then we'll match them with alums or parents in those fields to have those conversations again during the winter break.
I had another question.
Yeah.
When you were first mentioning LinkedIn at one point, you said that you could add letters of recommendation to your LinkedIn page.
Mm-hmm.
I know for a lot of jobs and schools and everything you're applying to, letters of recommendation are supposed to be private, and the recommendee is never supposed to see them. So how do you ask for a letter of recommendation that you will be seeing and posting online?
Those recommendations aren't like a letter for a school, so I should have specified that. So if I'll use myself as an example here. If we go to my profile, at the bottom, I have recommendations from people. And so these were people that I had worked with in the past, and this is where you might get one from an employer, or if you're a consultant, maybe from one of the projects that you worked on for an organization that they're writing you a recommendation. It might be a colleague that you collaborated on a project, or another office, to have them write those recommendations. If you're getting letters of recommendation for grad school or things where it'd be more law school, anything where it's more confidential that you want to hang on to in a particular place to keep them safe, I would encourage you to use interfolio.com. You can open an account and people can upload their letters, and you'll see that you have a letter from Professor Brophy in there, but you won't be able to open it to read it. But then you'll be able to manage those when you want them sent out to particular locations.
That's cool. I didn't know about that. Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Any last questions or comments? All right. Well, thank you so much. Again, my email is in the chat. Please reach out. Bree and I are eager to connect with everybody and certainly help you with your networking, or if you want to be a resource for others, let us know that too.
Thank you very much, Brandy, and thank you to everybody for joining us tonight. We will have a recording of this available, and we will let you know when that is posted on our website.